Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, love and light, and welcome to this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I am a minister, spiritual life coach, author, and founder of Redefining You, LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. So welcome to this edition of the show. And if you are new to the How Now podcast, welcome. You are now officially a How Now podcast family member, and we look forward to having you listen in on our previous shows and our upcoming shows. So I would like for you to go to www.hownowpodcast.com, click on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, like, and follow. You can also click on the banner and it will take you to the How Now YouTube channel, where you can view some of our past shows and also click like and subscribe to hear our shows that are coming your way. Again, that's www.hownowpodcast.com. So let's get started with tonight's show and my wonderful guest that I have here with me today. We are going to be talking about the relationship resume. Okay. Sounds a little interesting there, because we're going to be talking about, ways in which we can find out if we're a fit for the person. Just like we apply for a job, there are certain things that we need to make sure that we're doing to apply for the relationships that we're seeking to be in, and making sure that we're a fit for it, and how it looks and how that is going to translate into a longer lasting relationship. And as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have my guest introduce himself at this time so we can dive in.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction of your show. I learned so much, and I appreciate you having me on the How Now show. My name is Cheyenne Bostock. I'm a life and relationship expert, and I help single women attract their ideal mate.
Nice. We like that. And there are a lot of single ladies out there. People tend to think that there's a little bit of a there are 10 women for every one man, and everyone is grappling for that one man, or there are so many different situations. I'm here in the Atlanta area, and you hear a lot of things about different there are people who are on the down low, there are people who are married, but you hear that across the nation, and I know that it's been a challenge. So before we talk about the relationship resume, let's talk a little bit about your background and what you were doing prior to the pandemic, because that's where we tend to start. We start from the pandemic and then move forward from when the pandemic hit, and then go from there. So what were you doing in your business prior to the pandemic?
So I've been doing relationship coaching for about a little over 10 years now. And so a lot of my work is virtual. And so thankfully for me, by the grace of God, nothing has really changed for me and my clients. I usually don't meet my clients in person. We're usually talking just like we are right now via Zoom. So it's been pretty consistent and pretty good, over the pandemic, because I was able to really tap into audio, video, and social media a whole lot more, creating things like an e-course. I have a new e-course out called Master the Art of Dating in Just 14 Days. The ladies are loving it.
Yes. Congratulations.
It really helped me to really get more creative.
Mm-hmm.
Really to tap into my true identity and my most authentic self.
Yeah.
That's very important in any type of work that you do. I get a lot of people asking me about, what does it take to be a life coach? And I say, well, you share from your life.
Right.
So if you are unwilling or unable to tap in and share and be vulnerable and transparent, then I don't recommend life coaching for you.
Right.
Because it's the stories that I share, the experience that I share with my audience, that makes them want to gravitate towards me. And so it's like a magnetic pull when I share things like my homeless shelter experience. When I first started as a life coach, I wrote my first book while I was living in a homeless shelter. When people hear that, they want to know more, because it makes me human. And
Yes.
so, during the pandemic, where we really, really came together as a community and as people, because we didn't know what was happening on this earth.
Right.
It's like, okay, no more hats, no more jewelry needed, because nobody's going anywhere. Now you just have to be your most authentic self, and people
Right.
either like you for who you are or they don't. And
Right.
so I really, really, I mean, it was a sad time for a lot of people. We lost a lot of people,
Yes.
but I do have gratitude for that experience, for helping us to get closer to God and closer to ourselves and closer to each other. So that's one thing that I can really say helped me as a man, as a father, as a significant other, and as a coach,
Yeah.
was this unfortunate time, but very much beneficial time.
Yeah, yeah. I think, the pandemic really, allowed us to sit with ourselves and to really take a good hard look and say, okay, well, what am I doing, and what is it that I'm looking for? And I think also that people were looking to, value, life, and realizing that life is precious and that life is short, because we lost, like you said, many people during the course of this pandemic. Some we lost at a young age, who passed away far earlier than we would have ever anticipated. And so, people have gotten a little bit more serious about the types of relationships that they're in. And because we're still in this, state of pandemic, it's important to really start realizing what it is that, we're looking for and we're seeking. And with that, did things look different once the pandemic hit and people were not able to go outdoors? Did your coaching have to become a little more creative because now people were doing things more virtually than they were face to face, or did you
Well,
not see much of a difference?
well, I work specifically with single women.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of women were afraid to go out, to connect, to even converse with men. Meanwhile, when I'm talking to men, the men is like, there is no pandemic. They're out there dating, they're having sex, they're meeting people, they're online
Wow.
on dating apps. It's like nothing changed. And so, I did create a video. I actually put it in the e-course that I'm telling you about, how to date during COVID.
No.
And I explained to the ladies that I was coaching that this is actually a really great opportunity for you, because it gives you space to slow things down and actually get to know the person.
Yeah.
And you got the mask, you got the 6 feet apart, because most guys want to get physical real quick.
Right.
And so you're like, oh, no, not right now, we're in a pandemic. You gotta get to know each other. This was
Right.
a missed opportunity for a lot of women, because this is the opportunity to see if a guy is actually really into you.
Yeah.
And you can justify not being physical, because like,
Right.
oh, no, it's not safe. Let's continue talking and FaceTiming. And
Right.
man, so many women miss that opportunity. But
Wow.
it's actually a golden opportunity. So now that fast forward, things have gotten a little better, you can still apply those same principles of wanting to talk and get to know each other.
Yeah.
It's an art. It's an art. And that's what I teach the women that I work with. That's why I named it Master the Art of Dating. It's an art. You have to know how to navigate and communicate and influence the guy that you're talking to. And a lot of women are out of practice, and that's what I help them to do. And that's much needed in these times.
Absolutely. I love that you say that. It's really important that we focus in on being able to formulate those relationships. And I think that it's also a good way to see how empathetic the person that you're interested in is in, what's happening to you. Because I think a lot of what we've been seeing a lot is a lack of empathy. People just discounting how people feel. Oh, you're being extra. Oh, you're doing too much. Oh, come on outside, girl. There ain't nothing going on out here. For some women, just like you said, it's an opportunity for them to see if that person really is, saying, I realize that there's still some fear for you in being able to come out. So let's just continue to talk and get to know each other. Let's continue to see how things develop. And maybe when you get a little bit more comfortable, we can come outside and possibly get together. So definitely, I see that whole opportunity there to kind of tap in and see where that person is. So that's kind of neat. I think that's awesome.
And also, with that, the one of the first things that I work on with my clients is mindset. Having an abundance mindset.
Yes.
Because, as a young man black young man, successful, educated, fit, nice looking, not to brag, this is just to give an example of the type of men that women are dealing with. When they see a guy that checks those boxes, it's very hard for them to say no. And it's hard for them to turn that guy away because they're dealing in a scarcity mindset. They're thinking, oh, this guy, he's so charming and he took me out on this wonderful date. I can't say no. I can't. And it's like, but that's not an abundance mindset. You have to be willing to say no. You have to be willing to catch and release. You have to be willing to let them go, because what that's going to do for you is to show you that there's more for you. So when these guys come up with all of these lines and these excuses and trying to influence you to do something that you're not comfortable with, you say, you know what? I want a man who makes me feel comfortable. I want a man who takes his time. The only way to get a guy like that is to have standards. And so when you meet a guy and you see he's trying to rush to do this, or trying to rush to kiss you, rush to touch you, rush to get you in bed, if that's not what you want, then automatically he's disqualified. But what a lot of women do is they say, oh, he checked 7 out of 10 of the boxes, so I'll give him a chance. It's like, no, but you got 3 other boxes that he completely missed the mark on.
Right.
So what are you doing? So if your goal is to get the 10 out of 10, which is possible, ladies, it's possible. Don't discount yourself. Don't downplay your goals and your standards. It's possible to get that. But if you continue to sell yourself short, then you're going to find yourself in situationships that you don't want to be in.
I like that. Situationships. I like that. I'm writing it down. All right, did y'all hear that? Situation.
And the thing about it is balance, because most guys that you meet are not going to be qualified. They are not going to be the one. And you need to know how to deal with those types of guys. Because just because he's not the one doesn't mean he doesn't have value.
Right.
And so you simply need to know, how much of myself am I willing to give to this person, knowing that it's not going to go far. And that's where the artistry comes in. Knowing how to balance and not dismiss every guy who comes along who isn't the one.
Right.
It's a missed opportunity, especially if you are an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's trying to figure out how to get customers, how to get clients, how to get followers and subscribers. Men are the perfect target audience because, first of all, they like you. And so that's a great start. And it's like, okay, listen, I'm really trying to get my business off the ground.
Right.
If you're really trying to build with me, this is what I'm working on right now. And I can't afford to get distracted from this unless I'm reaching my goals.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And that's a wonderful way, like you said, to make sure that they're interested in what it is that you're doing. And just like you said, in building. I love that. You said some key things. I like that you said situationships, because that is something that a lot of women do fall victim to. I love that you said catch and release. It immediately made me think of fishing, and of, catching that big fish and then just saying, oh, well, yeah, I caught it, but I need to return it. I need to send it back to where it belongs.
Within 72 hours, by the way.
72 hours.
There's a lot of women who don't understand the game. This is all a game. If you meet a man, today is Tuesday, give that man until Friday to set something up with you. If he doesn't set anything up by Friday, release. Release, because he's showing you that the interest is mid or low, not high. You want men with high interest. If a man is high interest, he see you like, oh my God, I love the dress. I love your chocolate skin. I love those voluptuous lips. I love your shape, sister. I love everything about you. Listen, I need to see you ASAP. What is your schedule like this week? And you say, I'm usually free on Thursday. Okay, he's not going to want to wait till next Thursday.
Right.
He's going to say, I'm going to look at my schedule, but I'm going to set something up for this Thursday.
Nice.
And then he'll get back to you probably within 24 hours. Give him a little grace to figure out, where he wants to take you, what he wants to do, his schedule, but he will be on top of it. If you tell that man, it's Tuesday, if you tell that man you're available on Thursday and he misses that opportunity, and it's not something that is set in stone on his schedule,
right,
that means he's not that into you. And so what do? Release. But what happens is some women, they get that guy and they love the attention. They love all the compliments and everything. And he missed the opportunity, but she's still interested. She's still open to seeing the guy again. She's still open to really pouring 100% into this guy. So she's waiting until this one guy finally comes through. And that's a very dangerous position to be in, ladies. That's not an abundance mindset, because if you meet this guy on Tuesday, you let him know when you're available, and then immediately you forget about him and go on to the next guy. That's another thing that I teach in my e-course. Date multiple men at the same time.
Right.
This
now
way
with
you're
that,
not thirsty, waiting on this one guy,
right.
To finally call you. When he finally calls you next week, you be like, oh, who is this? Who? We met where? Oh, boy, I forgot all about you.
Right. He's like,
I was expecting to hear from you last week. Well, I think I might be able to let you make it up to me. I like lobster and steak.
I mean, hey.
It's a game. It's an artistry. It's a game that you have to learn. Some women have no standards. They have no consequences for a man not keeping his word or a man not following through. And men understand this. So if he sees you have no standards, no consequences, he's like, oh, I could walk all over this woman. And so I will.
Right.
And so women have to understand male psychology in order to win the game.
Wow. I love that. And so for that woman, and I know sometimes it's difficult to find the words, because we're such nurturers, sometimes we just find it so hard. Like you said, that release, we find it so hard to let go. Let me give him a chance. Oh, everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves a second chance, people can be restored, or, and that's where that nurturing, I think, on our behalf kicks in, because we feel like, okay, well, yeah, it's a little faux pas. We can fix that. We think that we can fix everything, and that, oh, well, he may have done that in the past, but I can do things to make him different. I can change that. So what would be something that they could say to that person once they reach that 72-hour mark? What's something that they can say, where it doesn't come off offensive? Because I think that's another thing too. They don't, just like, we may feel offended, but then we don't want to in turn offend the person, I want to let them down easy, but how do I do that?
You raise the stakes, and you don't have to worry about offending him, because he knows what he's doing. He knows that he's taking his time and dragging his feet. He knows that the interest is low and not high, and he's trying to see what he can get away with. And what your job is to show him that he cannot get away with it.
Consequence.
And so you hold him accountable immediately. What took you so long to call? We met on Tuesday. I told you I was available on Thursday. What happened? And then you say, well, my next availability is in a week, Thursday. And so this will be, I'll give you one last chance to make it up. Let me know what you have in mind, and I'll let you know if I'm available.
Bam. And
so, but here's the thing that women need to understand about this, because there's a lot of women who are afraid to do that. He's going to be turned on by that. He's going to respect it. And he's going to start really considering you for a future. He's going to be like, she stood up to me. She stood up for herself.
Right.
What? He's either gonna fight or flight. He's gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna take this woman out. I have to at this point.
Right.
Because she stood up to me, and she's showing me that she respects herself, and I like it.
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to stand up to the guy, ladies, because one or two things can happen. Either he's going to accommodate you and say, you know what, all right, I'm gonna clear my schedule for Thursday, and he's gonna feel obligated to do something to make up
Right.
for him dropping the ball. So now
Right.
he's a little bit more invested. You see how you're smiling and I'm smiling? It's a game. Now it's fun.
Yeah.
As opposed to, see, now there's a little bit of tension, a little push pull. That's what you need in order for it to be fun. If he would have done everything right, you'd have probably been bored. Sometimes I'll show up to a date late just to spice things up.
Yeah, you see, I'm like, because there are certain things that I'm a stickler for, and time is one of those things that I'm kind of like,
I know it. I remember I invited this beautiful, really fit woman. Like, all the guys wanted her, and she dressed up real good for this. And I'm sitting there looking at her. I'm late. I'm looking at her, and she's like in her phone and all of this stuff. Like, I can't believe he showed up late. And then I showed up with a big smile. Hey, what's up? She's like, you're late. And I was like, oh, my bad. Come on in here. Let me get you a drink.
Wow.
So now she's emotionally invested, which is what I wanted. I wanted to stir things up because she could have just left.
Yeah.
And if she would have left, that would show me that she wasn't really that into me.
Right.
But she stayed and had an attitude. And I'm like, I'm okay with you having an attitude as long as you stayed.
Yeah.
We can work on that attitude.
Point well taken.
What we can't work on is you not here.
Right.
If you're not here, we can't work on nothing.
You're
that
right.
means you're not emotionally invested at all. So
you're
now
right.
I'm like,
there is an art.
She really likes me. If she stays, she must really like me. All right. Check. All right, now let's get in here, get things back on track. I'll get the drink or whatever you want to order, because I messed up. It was intentional, but to her, I messed up. I'm like, all right, but I had, intended on paying for the drinks or whatever she wanted. So it's all good. To me, it's a game. And women have to start playing the game too, if they want to win.
Right. But you can't have a tough skin. Or you can't, or you can't, be so.
You can't have thin skin. You do need to have tough skin.
Okay, thin skin.
And if you go into it ready to play, not much will bother you. Because let's say if that same woman that I just gave the example of, if she had an attitude and was preparing to leave, I'm like, okay, let me call somebody else up real quick. Real quick. It's a game. It's like I wasn't that invested in you anyway.
Wow.
So I'm ready to catch and release you. Because if you give me attitude, I don't want you. I don't want you anyway. If being emotional is one thing, just having a bad attitude, I don't want you. So I'm gonna test you to see the type of person that you are. So what better way to see how a person handles and manages their emotion than showing up late? So I get to immediately see who you are.
Right. And just like you said, if that's a deal breaker for somebody, they're going to get up and they're going to leave. Or if like you said, the second example happens and they get up and leave and they have an attitude, and then you don't want to be bothered with that anyway. And I think that that's important to do. I really, really am embracing that whole catch and release, because what happens is we do tend to stay in relationships longer than we should, even though we know it's toxic, even though we know there are some things that are deal breakers for us, but we try to stay and think that we could fix it. So then we wind up staying longer. And then some people have that or some women have that idea of, it's just like, well, I've already invested 10 years in it. I just might as well ride it out. And now you've wasted all of that time and energy on something that you didn't want. I would rather, within that first day or so, or within that first 72 hours, realize I didn't want to be with that person than to find out 7 years later that this wasn't really the person I wanted to be with. And now I'm looking around behind his back to see what's going on around him or who else I can pick, besides that person. So that makes sense.
And the only way to do that is to properly vet people and qualify them from the beginning. And I have a dating manual. It's called Dating Manual for Single Women, 30 Steps to Take Before a First Date. The magic of this book, it's a small little handbook. It can fit in your purse. The magic of this book is to help women weed out the guy before the first date.
Wow.
Some women are like, how is that possible? Read the book. I'll show you, because there's so many steps, because women will take 100 steps into the wrong direction. Sometimes they're like, 30 steps, that's a lot of steps. Well, some of you are taking 100 steps in the wrong direction. I'm giving you 30 in the right direction. And when you read the book and you're going through it, you're like, I need that step. Now you're up to step 13. And you're like, I need that one. Now with 30 doesn't seem like so many.
Right.
Because it's like, wow, I've been missing all of these steps all this time. No wonder I'm failing at dating, because I'm not even I'm not even in the game. I'm not even in the game. I'm totally unaware and oblivious of all of these red flags that I'm missing. It's crazy. And what happens is all of the steps you try to follow later.
Right.
You try to, where do you live? You say, where do you live? And you find out he's homeless. Do you have any kids? You find out he's not paying child support. How come you're not on social media? This is all after you done slept with them, you done fallen in love with them, you done met all his family members, friends, you done met your family friend, you done posted pictures of them online. All of these red flags, everything, you're doing everything wrong because you don't understand men. So my first book was called Food, Sex, and Peace of Mind. Those are the 3 things that men want. And I made a diagram on my TikTok illustrating the 7 different levels of relationships. And so women want to get all the way up to level 7.
Right.
Men just want to get to level 2.
Wow.
Now I'm going to break down the levels. First is ground 0. This is where a guy sees you across the street. He's like, oh my God, look at that dark skin. Look at those lips. Look at those natural hair. Oh, I love it. So now he has to get to level 1. He has to make your acquaintance.
Right.
So ground 0, there's at least some type of attraction. He feels something and he wants to get to level 1 to become an acquaintance or a friend. So he gets to level 1. Now he's got his foot in the door. Okay.
Right.
Now he's going to work on level 1 to get to level 2, which is sex.
Wow.
That's a man's finish line. Now, remember earlier I told you that women want to get to level 7. So this man is going to say whatever he can to get to level 1 and level 2. He's going to try to influence you to get from ground 0 to level 1 to level 2. Women want to get to level 3. That is a relationship. And they want to get to level 4, which is dates. And I'll explain why level 4 is dates and it comes after relationship.
Gotcha.
Level 5 is meeting the family members and friends. Level 6 is an engagement. Level 7 is a marriage. And so you'll notice that when you're in a relationship with a guy, he's most likely to take you out on more dates.
Right.
But when there's no relationship, he doesn't offer a whole lot of dates because he's like, it doesn't make sense.
Gotcha.
If he's not interested in a relationship with you, he's just going to invite you over to his place or ask you to come over to your place.
Right.
And so he's going to be influencing a woman to get from ground 0 to level 1, level 2. And women wonder why they never get to level 7. It's because his finish line is level 2.
Right.
You want marriage. He wants sex. And so there's nothing wrong with having different goals. But the reason why a lot of women never get to level 7 is because they don't know how to influence a man. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. He's working his ass off trying to get from ground zero to level 1. He's doing it all. Hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. It's nice to meet you. Listen, are you married? No. Listen, I would love us to get together and, talk more about why you're single and how we can change, our acquaintance to something else. All this chocolate skin, he's saying all these smooth, nothing, everything's in the air. And he's going to try to do whatever he can to get to level 2. And then after that, he's like, woo, the race is over.
Right.
That was great. And now you're looking at him like, okay, we just had sex. What are we? And he's like, we're mammals, honey. We're mammals. What do you mean? We are mammals.
Wow.
And so now the woman, it wants him to continue to be the leader. But he is being the leader. He's leading you where he wants to go.
Right.
In your mind, you have this whole picture of how life is supposed to be, but that's your idea. And when you have an idea, you have to execute it. And some women drop the ball there. They don't understand their power. Just because you gave a man sex and that's all he wants doesn't mean that you can't get what you want. You have to show this man why you are more valuable outside of the bedroom than inside of the bedroom. And if you can be successful in showing him that, he will honor you with the relationship. He will honor you with dates. He will honor you with introducing you to his family members and friends. He will honor you with an engagement. He will honor you with the marriage. The issue is there are women who are unaware that they're not giving a man anything to honor.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
He's not saying I don't want to get married. He's saying I don't have a reason to. You haven't given me a reason.
Right. Right. And then
so they watch a lot of Disney and they think, oh, I'm pretty, I'm available, I'm single, I'm willing to be intimate with you. Like why won't you marry me? It's like, that's not why people get married. That's not enough.
Right.
You have to show me why my life will be better if I get into a relationship with you.
Right.
If I introduce you to my family, why is that beneficial to me?
Right.
Why should I go out, spend my hard-earned money and buy a ring to propose to you? Tell me why. Right. And if a woman can evidence it, she will get everything her heart desires. But a lot of women are not focused on adding value and being influential. They're focused on entitlement. And that's why it's not working for a lot of women.
Wow. You see, and that's huge. And that goes back to what you were talking about with regards to mindset. Because just like you said, if you don't have enough self-love and you don't value yourself, you can't market or, quote unquote, sell yourself. If you don't see the value in yourself. When you go shopping, you don't just pick up a shirt and put it in the cart and go and pay for it because it's a shirt. You look at it, you make sure that it's quality, you make sure that it's something that fits you or suits you or is flattering when you put it on. Otherwise, all of the shirts would be the same in the store. They'd all be just a white t-shirt on a rack and everybody would just go and pick up one. But we when we go and we're shopping for something, we're looking for something and we're looking to make sure that it's not cheaply made, that it has some type of value and that it's going to last for, it's going to be durable. Same thing when we go and look for a pair of shoes, we're looking for something durable. We're not looking for the little flat shoes that are going to hurt our arches, that are, are going to fall apart the moment we get them, or they're going to last a week. We're looking for quality. And so, like you said, if we don't see that in ourselves, how are we going to market that? And that brings me to the whole idea of that relationship resume. How do we go about, making sure that we're putting that best foot forward, that we're showing that we are valued, to ourselves first.
Yeah, valuable asset, and that's the key. And that's why I focus so much on the mindset, because we have to get past the part where a woman feels insulted by a man coming to her for what he knows she has, for sure. Like, we know you have a vagina. We know it.
Right.
And so we don't even need you to speak to know that you have it. So we're coming to you for what we know. But for what we don't know, we're not eager. We're not eager to jump into that relationship. We don't know if you can cook. We don't know if you can clean. We don't know if you can have a baby. We don't know if you'd be a good mother. We don't know if you'd be a good stepmother. We don't know how you take care of people when they're sick. We don't know any of this stuff. We just know that you have a vagina and we can have a good time with that. Everything else, you have to show. You have to prove it. You have to evidence it. Otherwise, we're not making the investment. And any person who understands how investments work, they understand that we have to know what the return is going to be before we make the investment. We're not rolling the dice.
Right. Right. But just like you said, you get to that second part, you get to that second level of sex. And then how does the woman feel that she can, if he just gets that and he goes, okay, got it, and goes off, how does she have an opportunity to show him all of those other things?
Well, he's more than likely going to want it more than once.
Right.
And it's like this. A man knows that a woman likes flowers. A man knows that a woman loves to go out, to dress up, be seen, have a good time. We know this stuff. We don't need your permission. We just offer it. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Let's go out. What are you doing this weekend? Let's go out. We just offer it. So don't wait for the man to ask you, do you know how to cook, or will you cook for me? Just cook.
Right.
Just cook. Show him that you can clean. And these are just examples. I'm not saying that women have to do these things. I'm just using them because they're the easiest way to describe showing and evidencing that you're valuable.
Yeah.
If a man takes you out and he pays for it, that's value.
Yes.
That's showing leadership. If he knows how to set up a date, the time, the location, the date, without having to ask you, well, what would you like to do? That's leadership. He's evidencing that he's a leader. Doesn't have to be asked to do it. And so women have that same authority and power. Just show him. The thing is, so many women don't want to give. They're afraid to give. But you shouldn't be afraid to give. You should be afraid to give to the wrong person.
Right.
This is why properly vetting a person is so important. Like, how do they talk to you? How do they treat you? How do they carry themselves? There are ways that you can gather information to see if a person is worth spending time with, talking on the phone with, going out on a date with, being intimate with, getting married to, getting in a relationship with, having a baby with. There are signs.
Yes.
There's always signs and evidence, especially if you have standards. So let's say, for example, if I'm a man and I'm religious and I have certain values, and let's say a woman is just cursing like a sailor. I just can't tolerate that. This is a personal thing. I just can't tolerate a woman just cursing like that. I see it all the time and I'm like, ugh, I can't do it. That's a sign. That's a red flag. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Right.
Do not keep moving forward. I don't care how beautiful she is. I don't care how much money she makes, what she does for a living, how resourceful she is, how connected she is. Do not continue moving forward. The thing with women is they keep moving forward.
Right.
They keep moving forward. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Guilty. I've been around. I've made a couple of rotations around the sun, and yes, I've been guilty of that myself. The red flags will be flying high and wide and long, and the flags will be huge, and we'll still look around that flag and say, okay, but I still see a little glimmer of hope. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try it anyway.
Yep.
We waste a lot of time, and it's a lot of heartbreak and a lot of effort into something that we knew from the beginning. What do they say? It takes 7 seconds to make an impression. We know, just like you said, that we are always, told it for being intuitive, and then we don't follow that intuition all the time.
Mhm. So I have in my coaching program, I work with women for 9 weeks. The program is called Attract My Ideal Mate. And one of the exercises that we do is I have them write down, like, paint a picture for me. What does your ideal mate look like? And so we do that at the beginning, so that throughout the coaching, when I get feedback, when I have them doing the exercises and I send them out in the field, and then they come back to me with information about who they've been meeting, where and why, all I do is go back to the notes and I'm saying, is that your ideal mate? You're telling me about this. You said you want this, and this. That person does not align with this. And this is the beautiful thing about coaching is the accountability. When you have no accountability partner, you'll know you're wrong. You know you're wrong, and you just keep going forward. But in the end, since there's nobody checking your list and checking twice, you put the blame on the guy. It was something that he lied to me. He cheated on. Wait a minute, you chose him.
Right.
And you chose him knowing that he was wrong from the beginning.
Yes.
The red flags were there from the beginning. You should not have kept moving forward. You should not have passed go and collect $200, but you did.
Yeah.
And so it's important to match and align yourself up with someone who is ideal for you. And there's power in that. When you meet someone and you're like, that person's not ideal, okay, I'm going to register that. I'm still going to have fun with this person, but I'm not going to invest 100% because I know this is not my long-term person.
Right.
This is just someone for right now. And I can manage my emotions. I can manage my expectations knowing that this person is temporary.
Right. Now that leads to an interesting point though, too. It's okay to, we talk about dating and just knowing that this person may not be long-term, but just like you said, being able to say, well, I can see myself being in a short-term relationship with this person, but that comes with, like you said, being able to determine what it is that you're looking for at that particular time, correct?
Right.
Like if you're looking for, I'm looking for a marriage, I'm looking for long-term, this is what I'm looking for, but I'm just looking to have some fun. I'm just looking to, have my ego stroked, so I just want to go and hang out. I just, I'm new to the city. I want to get to go on a couple of dates and hang out with someone who can kind of show me the city. So it's pretty much just, figuring out what it is that you want and sticking to that and not necessarily getting in your feelings if it turns into something different.
I call that dating on your level. If you are, we're all human. So we can't say, oh, you're broken, so just stay away from people. Because when you're attractive, even when you're broken, you'll attract people.
Yes.
And, you still have feelings and you still have needs and desires. It's the being honest part and the managing of your emotions part that's important. I've had experiences where a woman might act in the moment and I might not hear from her again because she realizes I was doing that because of where I am right now. Right. And I'm trying to grow out of this stage and I don't want to continue doing it.
Right.
And it's understandable. Like they were acting out of impulse and it's not the normal way of being and doing.
Right.
So that person is not trying to stay in that place being impulsive. They're trying to grow from it, but they wanted to be impulsive in that moment.
Right.
And we've all experienced that.
Yeah. But you see, like I said, we can go on and on and on because there's so much to this idea of being in relationships and being honest with ourselves. And like I said, I think some of the bigger takeaways from this is just, like you said, talking, being conscious of where you are and being honest with your feelings and being able to articulate what it is that you're looking for, and following that 72-hour rule, and just saying, yeah, I caught this, but no, I'm going to return it because this is not what I'm looking for. I see some signs that are coming up. I love that you mentioned accountability. It is good to have someone who is trusted, whether it be a coach or whether it be someone who is in your inner circle, who can really be honest with you and not just agree with you on everything, but to be able to say, well, I thought that you said that you didn't want this or that, and it's how that person comes, to you with that information, not like, girl, I thought you said that, where it sounds like, now you have to be defensive, but somebody who's just going to be honest with you, who cares for you and values your friendship, to be able to say, hey, I thought that wasn't what you were looking for. I thought this is what you wanted for yourself. And so I love that you had that whole accountability piece. I love that you talk about the steps, and being able to prove, your worth and your value, and how that comes from your mindset. So there are just so many little nuggets that you shared so far, and we don't want to give it all away because you have wonderful programs and you have wonderful coaching that you do. And we definitely want to allow people to have an opportunity to dig a little deeper and to see those things that you can offer to them as well. So that's going to segue me into you telling people how they can get in contact with you and be able to learn a little bit more about your programs.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on the show. I had a great time talking to you. And like you said, we can talk about this all day long. This is my favorite topic. I just love talking about it. And speaking of loving talking about this, every Wednesday I do Free Advice Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. I'm going to live stream so people can actually call in and talk side by side, just like we're doing now, and ask questions. And if you're unable to make the live, you can go on my website and send me a question in advance so that I can answer the question on the live. My website is CheyenneBostock.com, and you can access everything, all of my books, all of my coaching programs, my e-course, and get connected with me on social media. I'm very active on all social medias, and I love to hear from people. So don't be shy reaching out to me and sharing with me how I can help you.
Awesome. So they can link in under www.CheyenneBostock.com. They can go to your YouTube channel and they can subscribe there and connect for the Wednesdays, for the Free Advice Wednesdays.
Yes, Free Advice Wednesday. And I have all of my information in my descriptions for everything that we talked about on this broadcast here on my YouTube as well. So I look forward to speaking and connecting with all of you ladies and helping you master the art of dating and attract your ideal mate.
Absolutely. And then, as I say to my guests who are now part of the How Now family, you are always welcome to come back, because what's happening now may not be what's happening in an hour, a few minutes from now, a week from now. So you're always welcome to come back, talk about your programs, talk about other things that are going on in this now. And so, like I said, you are always welcome. You have an open invitation to come back at any time, and know that we'll be happy to have you. Now, one other thing that we do, of course, before I end each show, is I have my guests to talk about how they're living in this now. So what are some things that you are doing to navigate in this space that we're in right now?
Well, right now I'm really excited about creating just more ways. Every day I wake up, I just think, how can I serve them better? What can I do? And so just today I created the link that I was sharing with you about asking me a question, because I like to get information from real people about real situations. So if they go to CheyenneBostock.com/questions, all lowercase, then I'll be able to see their questions there. So, but just creating, I love creating and hearing from people. So talking about dating and relationships is just my favorite thing to do. So y'all check me out. I have different types of content, different on Twitter, different on TikTok. Like, I'm crazy on TikTok. I might be funny on YouTube. I'm a family guy on Instagram, and I'm a straight up consultant on Twitter. So you get
Gotcha.
a little bit of something else on each social media profile. So I'm enjoying myself creating for you all. So I'm looking forward to connecting.
Awesome. Awesome. Like again, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come and be here and to talk about the relationship resume and to talk about the many different facets of relationships and how important that is. That's something that a lot of us have had to sit with. And then, like I said, especially our single ladies who are looking to be in relationships, and just trying to figure out how to, navigate through all of this. It's a lot. And some people still living in fear and afraid to come outdoors, and I'm sure that it's just a challenge, but we have to use this time to begin to determine what it is that we're looking for, so that when we do step outside, like you said, we're going out and we're seeking the best for ourselves, because we value ourselves and we know that we're worth it. So I appreciate all that you're doing. Are there any parting words that you'd like to leave with our listeners before we head out?
Date on your level.
Date on your level.
That's it.
You heard it. Date on your level. Figure out what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're seeking, and make sure that you stay in that lane. That's the best advice you could give them. Again, thank you, Cheyenne. We appreciate it. And that will do it for this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until we see you the next time, I say peace.